Rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. When the wind blows. That's a freaking weird song. Cradle will fall. When the bow breaks, the cradle will fall. It's falling a lot in my version.
Yeah, apparently.
Now will come baby, falling and rolling. Hi, my name's Chris.
And I'm Linda.
We love children. We have a lot of children.
We do.
And the interesting thing is, the reason we have a lot of children is, one, obviously, I'm super hot.
It's true.
But really?
It is.
Oh my gosh. We'll be right back. Anyway, the point is that we have a little phrase in our family, you can't outgive God. And early on in our marriage, we decided that we would do something ridiculous, and that was basically say, Lord, when it comes to children, we'll be as open as we can without having a complete nervous breakdown, which has happened almost a few times every year.
Absolutely. Yes.
But the good news is that this little phrase of ours has transferred and kind of grown and gone into all sorts of different areas that we never really realized. But being all in our relationships, in our friendships, in our spiritual life is a big part of who we are as the Pagets.
You know, I think I've been thinking about this idea of generosity lately, and that we are called to be generous. But I think in this world we are fighting for our own piece of whatever wealth. We want to be stingy with the way we give to money to people, or we want to we're selfish with our own compliments. Like, I think that it's amazing to me how many women withhold complimenting other women. Like, if I tell her she looks good, that somehow it takes away from this huge basket of compliments and this huge basket of good and beautiful things, and by giving a compliment to another woman, it's taking away from that full basket, and it leaves less for me. But the truth is that you can never be too generous. You can't. I just don't believe it. You can't be too generous with your compliments, even with your money. I think that being generous is it comes back to you so much twofold or threefold or whatever.
Well, actually, what you're saying is a really important point, because the example and the model for this is Jesus. And Jesus, in the feeding of the 5,000, shows us exactly what this principle means. We're under the impression that we have a limited supply of generosity, or a limited supply of ways that we can tell people and affirm people that they're special. And so if we do that, at some point in the game, the basket's empty, which is kind of what you were saying.
You said it a lot better than I did.
I like the example of that small little boy in the story of the feeding of 5,000. He could have hoarded that, kept that for himself to satisfy himself, to feed himself. But when it was asked, does anybody have any food, he generously gave. And he generously gave. In fact, he gave the entirety of all that he had. And Jesus blesses it, breaks it, and gives it, and feeds 5,000 men, not counting the women and children. So it could have easily been 15,000, 20,000 people there that day. And it was so radical that there were leftovers in abundance. In a way, there were 12 baskets of leftovers to remind each of those disciples, hey, this is a big deal, be generous. And in our family, I think that's what we want to do, but the inclination is to try to clutch and to hold and to be selfish, because it's grounded in fear. When you live that way, it's fear.
Holding on to something is control. You're having control.
Yeah.
But I think in generosity, obviously, most of the time it's applied to money, to finances, to our material gifts. But in a case of a relationship and family, and in ministry, whatever you're doing, where you're giving yourself to give yourself generously. To give yourself generously to your children, even though they've asked for the 10th millionth time, what are we having for dinner? To answer them generously. Well, this is what we're having for dinner. Or, like I said, the compliments to somebody else. Or the idea of holding things too closely to your chest that we even see in ministry, where certain ministries, they want to they're very stingy in the way they share their vision and their ideas, because they're afraid that someone's going to come along and take it away and do it better than they do or whatever. But ultimately, we need to be at fault generous people. And because there is, like you said, there is no basket of limitation when it comes to the reaping of that generosity.
Right. And I think ultimately the proof is in the pudding. Basically, even Jesus had said, if someone, takes your cloak, give to him your tunic, something along those lines. And basically, the simple idea is you can err in a lot of ways, but not necessarily in generosity. So be generous today. I don't know if there's somebody near you that you could just do something ridiculous, spoil them rotten, maybe make a plate of cookies for a neighbor, or just even offer to come over and help mow the lawn if you're younger and you've got some energy and calories to burn.
Or tell someone they look nice.
Or tell someone they look nice. I mean, it's simple, isn't it? Or tell that person on the motorcycle, hey, your motorcycle's loud, but I love you.
All right.
Be good.